Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. So today is Monday, Cyber Monday. So we are still in a very hot week in terms of deals. So welcome. It's great to be here today for this special edition of the Ninja Business Challenge. Today is day number 20. I do not remember, 27, I guess. Yes, 27. And today I have a special guest. So today my guest is Vasia Toxavidi. And um, I will give you the floor in a second, Vasia. I just wanted to add a few things here. And so you are no. So yeah, let me go back to what I wanted to say. We are at the Ninja Business Challenge, day 27, and I assume you are here because you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, and you are interested in shortcuts and strategies on how to accelerate your business growth to six figures or multiple six figures. And the reason why today I invited Vasia is because she's an amazing professional and she will say a few things about herself. And I wanted to pick her brain a little bit, and not just to pick mine that after so many days of challenge is almost empty, about this important topic that is keep your business growing by avoiding toxic relationships. So I'm your host, Luisa Ferrario, and I empower entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, who happens to be coaches, consultants, and service-based providers to scale their business faster and to have a team that rocks. And now I leave the floor to Vasia.
Well, Luisa, thank you for having me today in your amazing lives. I watched some of them. You have a great vibration, and I really, really support what you're doing. And you inspire me sometimes the way you talk and what you say and how you support people. So, thank you for having me in your life. It's an honor. So, I don't know what to say about me. I'm a psychotherapist and interpersonal coach, and I'm happy that I'm invited in this live to talk. I guess I'm gonna talk. We're gonna talk a little bit about the toxicity, about relationships and toxicity, and how they can, affect business grow. Um, I've been working for over 12 years as a psychotherapist and interpersonal coach. I've studied as a psychologist, but then I was always inspired and fascinated by the way we relate. So I've decided to specialize in relationship psychotherapy. And since then, I've been working a lot with couples and individuals and families, helping them to get better, understand better how they relate to each other, how they relate to themselves, and help them in that journey.
Yeah.
So I'm very fascinated about relationships, about how, because I think, and I always say that they're at the base of everything about
Yeah.
what happens around us. So,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
toxicity can be
Exactly.
very linked.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so again, I'm very, very happy that you are here today because um, the topic that we have is very, very close to my heart. Years ago, maybe 10 years ago, probably, I wrote my first book in Italian. And one section, one chapter of this book was dedicated to relationships and to toxicity and how to avoid toxicity. And as a leadership coach, I was mainly relating that to leadership, but also to life, because I mean, leadership is part of life. The boundaries are very subtle, and So it's amazing that what you just shared. So that relationship is everything, because first and foremost, relationship is what how we interact with ourselves. And so in terms of leadership, this is the self leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the basis, as you were mentioning. So this is the basis of everything, the basis of any choice that we make in life, any choice that we make in business, any choice that we make in friendship, in any kind of in money,
Mm-hmm.
anything. Okay. So I just wanted to remind a little bit the agenda of today's call. So we just introduced ourselves, and then we are just starting to exploring why we chose this topic, and why this topic is important, especially in the business environment, because this is what I have mainly talked about during this challenge. And then we also would like to go a little bit deeper into how toxicity can affect someone, specifically entrepreneurs and business owners, in their personal life. And then after that, we would like to share a little bit about our own experience. Maybe you have something that you can share um, regarding experience that you had with people, or and I think that I can easily share a lot of things. I will of course choose just one. A lot of things that happened in my own life as an entrepreneur, and that made me realize how important be aware of what is toxic for us and what is not, and what is. And and then we will is, in my opinion, very very important in the in what we will talk about, and this is about the signs of toxicity within a relationship, because going live, we were chatting, and Vasia told me that most of the times the relationships that are toxic for us, to some extent, that we have with our closer friends, family, business partners, colleagues, and sometimes because we are so much acquainted to that, it's we do not notice. It's so difficult for us to understand what is and what is not. So this is something that I'm really looking forward to explore with you. And then we will also see how to overcome all of that. And then we will wrap up and we will say hi and bye. So, Vasia, would you like to start exploring a little bit about how toxicity can affect someone in business and in personal life?
Going back to what you said, yes. What I told you before we started, when we were chatting about this, I said something that somebody told me, I was discussing, and it was very nice. It says toxicity sometimes is discussed by caring, and I think this is so interesting and so valuable to keep in mind while we explore that, because sometimes the people that we care about can be toxic, and this is where it becomes more difficult to actually accept and say no, or say goodbye to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So um so what was it you said you want to discuss about that? You want to talk about the effects of toxicity in the
No,
business?
how toxicity can affect someone
Okay.
more than the effects. We will go to the effects just after that.
Okay. So for me, toxicity, I see it as when I hear the word toxicity, it comes this, this little sign we have, like in the bottles, the chemical bottle, like the skull, and which for me it's like acid. So toxicity, I think, is very subtle, and it can be in every kind of relation. It's important for people to realize that, but it can affect you in very different ways. But for me, the first thing, the first element of what does to someone is to decrease a lot of self-worth and self-confidence. Because if when someone is in a toxic relationship, either with spouse, with a friend, what happens is after you spend time with that person, you leave drained, you leave not happy. It's what I call energy vampires. It's like your energy is drained, you feel tired, you can have headaches, you feel like and then you start being resentful of seeing these people. So this is where you start feeling there is something there. And so without realizing, you start feeling drained, you start feeling tired, you start feeling like you start losing motivation. But of course, I have to say it depends a lot on what relationship you have with someone. Okay, so if it happens with your partner, it's going to be more intensified and affect you more because you live together and you spend more time together than, say, with a aunt who lives, I don't know, in a different country and you call once in a while. So I guess that's the effect can be very different according to the intensity of the relationship as well. Um, and I guess one of the elements I think that I see a lot in my work and people talk to me is they feel very confused. So because what happens when you're with a toxic person, one of the things a toxic person would do, there could be different ones, and we can go through them later, is that they twist situations in the way that it makes you feel like you're crazy, you're confused. So they take a situation that you saw, and then they twist it in a way that no, it didn't happen. You saw it like that, but and then you start losing yourself. So you're left confused, and this immediately will start affecting your self-esteem and your self-belief. Am I crazy? Maybe
Yeah,
there's something wrong with me.
yeah.
Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not well. Maybe I should stay with them. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And this is where it starts going down.
Yeah, you start
So
second guessing yourself, and you start to disempower. Yeah,
yes, completely. And that can happen also in the work environment when you talk about business. You have a boss, your boss, and they will try, because usually a toxic boss, what will do, and according to my own experience, I would say, when I used to work for organizations and from my work, when people try, these people, they use toxic people. One of the elements why they do that is because they have so many insecurities. So in order to feel powerful, they have to minimize you. It's almost like I feel so little that I have to belittle you even more so as to feel powerful to get my thing. So it's a projection, really, what they do. But if that is your employer or your boss or somebody above you, then it uses that power, that fear you have.
yeah,
And then, it can twist the situation of, say, something happened at work, you didn't do right, I saw that, and create that confusion. And then people might not do any actions towards resolving some issues as they could.
yeah. Let me add something here because I love the perspective that you are bringing, and I think that there is another one. As an entrepreneur, working with entrepreneurs. I can say that when they have a team, for instance, the team itself can be an entity that disempowers them instead of empowering them. Or there can also just be one person in the team, and this person could be a disempowering one. So it's not just when there is someone above us, but also when there are peers and when there are people below. I do not like to say above and below, but of course, I mean, it's for the sake of understanding what we are talking about.
Mhm.
And I remember a couple of months ago that I was almost ending working with an entrepreneur after 6 months, and we were probably at the fourth month, fifth month, and working together. And they have a team, and there was this one person. Uh, in the team, and this entrepreneur was so passionate about the skill this person was bringing in the company, and the how can I say, the amazing way that she was, because the person was a she, that she was bringing in the relationship with clients, and but the point is that she was taking all the available space that should have been shared with other people on their team. And so this entrepreneur that I was working with chose to end the relationship with this amazing person, even if she was so gorgeous in what she was doing. But on the level of skills, she was doing the everything. But doing the everything, she was totally unable to lead herself in a way that was sustainable in order to, I'm not saying to have a shared leadership, but in order to also leave space to other people to breathe, to express themselves. She was doing the everything, and the other people were suffering. They were really disappearing month after month. So this is another scenario that can happen, and usually people do not think about that. They just think that when things go wrong, that might be something related to a toxic relationship. It's not just that. Sometimes also when things go well on one side, in this case, the side of the skills. It might not go well because the business was suffering because of that, because other people were, oh no, so they were very sad, they were, you know.
Yes, because it sounds to me what you're saying, this person wanted to take full control. And in a way, by taking full control, it was blocking the growth and expansion of the other employees.
Exactly.
And this is a huge, yes, that could be a very good, it's a toxic environment to work with. And it's very good that you touch upon that, because you're right. We cannot, it can be on, it's a very good paradigm of not only when things are going wrong, but also when we think everything goes well. You can find, you have to be able to see the signs of
Yeah.
toxicity. um, yeah. And when you were saying, when I was talking about, I was reading about, there's a study in 2021 that they said that they did a research, and they found that when people were in a toxic environment, the people that they were going through bullying and toxicity, and they had negative feelings, they spread these negative feelings to the rest of the employees. So it's like, so that's why it's not just affecting, perhaps, especially in a business environment, one person. It affects the rest, even if it's not directed to them, and this is where it has to be quickly being taken care of, because we don't realize, but it can affect much higher, bigger number of people.
Yeah,
um,
and not just people, as I was mentioning before, also the business itself,
the
or
business itself.
it could affect our creativity. It could affect the performance of the team itself. It could affect um, opportunities coming toward us instead of us chasing them because we do not see them anymore. We do not see them anymore because, again, there is not enough space for opportunities to come in and to come toward us. And so this is another aspect that can be highly affected by toxic relationships. And I want to point out one thing here, and correct me if I'm wrong. Toxicity is deeply related, is an energetic situation, but it is deeply related to emotions, because it affects emotions, it affects the moods, it lowers the possibility of the mindset to be abundant, and it usually goes in the direction of becoming scarce, in the direction of scarcity. And the other thing that I wanted to say, as emotions are involved, toxicity is what's the word? Oh my God, I do not have the word. Uh, just a second. Okay, it doesn't come to mind. It's fine. Maybe I will I will get the word later. Okay.
It happens to me sometimes. I'm stuck. Something when I want to remember something, it just doesn't
To
come.
me,
So
it happens
it will come to you.
all the times, not just sometimes. But anyway, especially those days that I have this cold. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for your patience. And okay, so we are talking a little bit. We are also talking a little bit about experiences that could happen to people. And I just shared about one of mine that is related to my clients. Um, do you have anything that comes to mind that might be beneficial for people who are watching this to understand a little bit better what we are talking about, and how how toxicity can affect or affected one of your patients? Do you call them patients or clients?
Clients.
Clients. Okay.
I'll call my clients. Um, I mean, I have a lot of examples through my work around toxicity within romantic relationships, but I guess you're not that interested in that. In this.
No, no,
Uh,
it's good. It's good.
um,
I'm also
it-
talking about that.
but because then if I talk about this, it goes more into the personal
Yeah.
aspect. And I see that you want a little bit keep it on the business grow, which I understand. So I can give you one of the, it's a simple example, and I can guess a lot of people can relate and maybe have experienced that. Um, I had a client that, she wanted to start her own business. She was very motivated. She really believed that. She was a business, I think, about something with art, like creating candles or something like that, and art, extra stuff. And, and her mother, was very against that. So she would say, you will never make it. Why you want to do it? This is like, what are the people gonna do about it, gonna say about it? So every time she would go back home and she would talk about the next steps of her business and how she was progressing to the next step, creating her company or meeting the right people, the mother would be like minimizing that. Okay, that's not something so big. I mean, I thought you would do better, and I'm sure it's not going to go far. I mean, you will remember me. I remember she was that kind of mother that would diminish everything she would say, belittle every step she would do, and obviously make her always feel not good enough. And so I remember, she would talk to me about these issues, but she wasn't able to see that. And this is where toxicity is tricky, because it was her mother. How could she ever believe that her mother would be a toxic person? That And so it was through therapy and through some work that she managed to see that. And I guess for me, it was about um, she stopped the denial in a way, because it's not easy. It's not easy to admit, I guess, that a close person like that, of like your mother, is toxic. It doesn't want your success. But in the meantime, it has affected her business. She lost her motivation. She lost her inspiration. She became full of fear of how she's going to go far. And, I guess she started becoming negative. And I'm a true believer that when we are negative and we think negative, we attract negativity. So everything would go negative because she was negative and there was fear around it. And things started going backwards, and she was feeling tired, and she would start to procrastinate, and she would start feeling anxious and stressed. So one led to another, and then she reached for therapy because of anxiety and stress. And this is how we scratch things, and we realized that it was that relationship of huge toxicity that stopped her from moving towards her goals and her dreams and her inspirations, which I have to say that we worked around it. And she managed very hardly to at least take some distance and move forward with her business. And it was very good piece of work, but she worked hard for that.
Amazing. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we can't believe what other people see, and we do not see, and we do not want to see. We do not want to
Mhm.
admit. And yeah, and so the word that I was missing was to. Oh, again, I lost it. Very well. Okay. Um, contagious. Okay, contagious. Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to say that toxicity is contagious.
Mm,
And this is one of the reasons why we should, especially as a business owner, we should be very careful who we make business with. And here I'm talking also about clients. Sometimes we have
mm,
clients who are very toxic.
mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
when I say very toxic, I mean that they have behaviors and mindsets that are very
Very
toxic.
true.
We should be aware of that. We should be very conscious and deliberate in choosing to say yes or no to a client or to a supplier or to an employee, as we were sharing before, or to a business partner, whoever.
Mhm,
Nobody is excluded. And also to some parts of ourselves, because we might have parts of ourselves that are not supportive and that are not they do not see the what's in it for me when we wanted to grow, because every time that our business grow every time our business grows, we grow as well. I mean, we grow and our business grows, of course, but I was I was seeing your eye a little bit concerned.
very expressive. Yeah, no, yes, that's why it is. Exactly, that's why it's so important, as we said, relationship with ourselves. Everything starts from there. If we don't feel well, how are we going to perform? How are we going to have the motivation? How are we going to make that deal? Or but as you said before, it's very important to be able to recognize things that affect us, or how we feel, or how we're overwhelmed. Say no, avoid toxic situations. And I guess we're going to talk about it later, but saying no, it's a huge, and putting boundaries is huge step to overcome toxicity and toxic people.
Yeah, absolutely. Toxic situations. And before going live, we were talking, I was sharing my own experience regarding food, also food or any kind of habit that we have in our life
Hmm.
can be to some extent toxic in respect of a specific goal that we might have in life and in business. And so we want to be mindful when we see that things are not progressing in something that we would like to accomplish, and ask ourselves, is there anything that I'm missing here that could be a toxic element, that could be a toxic situation that is affecting um, me and my power, uh, inputting my energies to grow the business, to accomplish this goal, to do this and to do that. So, uh, one thing that we can do for sure is to be mindful and to ask ourselves powerful questions, specific powerful questions that can start, that can give our mind that kickoff that it needs in order to start thinking, to start listening to a different music, to
Mm.
start become more aware and conscious, and then we will go there later when we will talk about the ways to overcome it. But can you just share maybe a few minutes? Can you just share some signs of toxicity? We already shared about a few of them. Maybe you want to some to list them again and to share them again, and maybe add some other.
Yeah, signs. There are many different signs, but I wanted to add something that you said there. Hold on, what did you say? Ah, yes, about the no, and we're gonna come back there. Something I was reading is it's when you are able to actually say no and leave a toxic person from your life. I was reading that actually has been research that shows that it can help people actually in business to grow and say no to if they have to do deals or things like that. So it gives them that power when they do that to take better decisions, that process, and become better in their business in saying no to toxic situations or toxic people. But I guess that's part of that process as you grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let me add one thing here that I think is very, very important and relevant. Sometimes we have clients or we have people who would like to work with us and that are very demanding on every level. And sometimes they start to be demanding when they start to ask for discounting prices of our services, diminishing or our authoritativeness, or trying to diminish our authoritativeness, looking at us in a way that seems to say, I'm not sure you're the right person or you are able to do that. So just stop immediately. Stop immediately. Do not take on board that client because it will be a hell. Yeah. I just
Yes.
wanted to share that. Okay.
When that goes, I'm like, it's not only that with clients. They're like only about the money. It's for me. It's also when clients they take hour a days to reply or say, hey, do you have an appointment next day or last minute? And for me, it's almost like it's a sense of I have my times, I have my schedule, I have other clients. There's a sense of disrespect in a way of your time, and not only me, it's about other people could use that time or other clients that maybe I don't have the time. So I think it's even little things that it's about understanding um whether it would be good to, and it's not bad or good, it's whether it's how you like to work or not. That's what it is. Okay, now we went a little bit on the side. Let's go back.
Okay.
Uh, so you asked me about the signs of toxicity. Is that right? Number one, for me, as we always said, people, when you feel that your boundaries are being pushed, or your boundaries are not being honored, this is huge, huge sign when you are dealing with people that they are toxic. people that you say no and they still push you. They push, but come on, let's do it. And you feel you're not being listened, your boundaries haven't been respected, and you feel like at the same time like bad about saying no, and you have to justify. These are signs that, there is toxicity around. You don't have to justify when you say, look, I cannot do this, I'm sorry, maybe another time. The other person, but come on, I really need that. I'm sure you can do it now. I really cannot. You don't even need to justify. You cannot do something, you're not able to, you're not going to do it, and that's
It
it.
doesn't
You don't
mean
have
that
to.
you do not want. It's not just that you cannot do that.
You
You do
don't
not
want.
want, and you do not
Exactly.
justify anything. Yeah.
Yes, of course, we have to be clear here that if you have a sick parent and you need to ask you something and you need to help them, sometimes, yes, you can do something like that. We're talking about people who you feel it. I think you just feel when it's toxicity in the air because the other person is pushing you in a way that you're resentful, but you feel guilty and you feel you have to justify. So, number one sign is people who don't respect boundaries, who push boundaries. You say no, and they don't listen, and they start again to push boundaries. Number two, toxicity involves a lot of blame. Toxic people will not take responsibility for anything. They will be the victims of every circumstance, and all the rest need to take the blame. And this is very tiring. And that will be very draining for people when they are in situations like that. Um, because, imagine if you're in a relationship where you always have to deal with the blame. It can be so lonely. And so you feel like, you're losing yourself into that, really. Another thing, number three, toxic people, they will try to control you. There's a lot of control. um, and I and sometimes from my experience through my work, I see that a lot of people are made like they're incapable, like they feel like they're little kids, they're incapable of, they treat them as they're incapable of taking care of themselves, by controlling them. I still have couples. I've worked with couples that, one of the partners was wanted the wife to send the time that she was coming back home, that if she wanted to go somewhere, that it was it was of her interest, he wouldn't let her go because it wasn't something he was supporting. So this is not this is toxicity. A partnership is about supporting the growth, is about
Trust.
trust, is about, as I always say to my couples and the people we work, we are with another person on a voluntary base. Either this is a partner, a friend, a colleague. We cannot project, we cannot control. We have to let the other person evolve and be happy and learn from that as they can learn from us. So this is something big, I think, control. And a lot of people that they are in toxic relationships, they will feel very controlled and very merged in a little box and afraid to go out. A lot of fear. You have a lot of people who are in toxic relationships, they are in fear of how they're going to say what they're going to say. They are not able to be themselves. There's no authenticity into that. And this is so toxic,
Yeah.
because if we cannot be authentic, then nothing will grow, our business will not grow, nothing. Authenticity is everything, for me at least. To be able to be authentic with a person, either this is your boss, your partner, your friend, because otherwise you're not you. And if you are not yourself, then who you really are with these people, you are not you. You are a fake you.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't also be vulnerable because
Big
otherwise you
one.
get
Mhm.
attacked, and or you get manipulated.
Yeah, Exactly, exactly. If you're not authentic, you're not vulnerable. If you're not vulnerable, you're not connected. If you're not connected, you're not truly relating. I mean, for me, vulnerability is the only way to connection. Brené Brown. I always recommend her. I like the way she talks about trust, about vulnerability.
Yeah,
It's great. Um, Another thing is, if you're in a toxic environment, I think one of the other signs is that the person will always feel there's a lot of guilt. Toxic people will make others feel guilty. They will use they will find the triggers of a person and trigger that sense of guilt and shame, and this is so toxic. We're talking about toxicity. Guilt and shame is always on the top of that, always on the top. And these are always the feelings that trigger the toxic people, and I have noticed that they are masters in that. They just can able to find the specific people, and for me are usually the people who are the people that I call them, there's a personality vulnerability. And this are the people who think about others. They want to please other people. They care about other people. They haven't learned to express their needs, prioritize themselves. So these usually are the people that I've noticed the toxic people are able, they target. Unconsciously, I think they're going to, as the lion has the, how do you say? Now I'm stuck with the word. The prey. So it's almost like they have, without knowing, there is a prey for them. And usually are the people that they're the people who like to please others. And these are the people, because these are the people who are, in a way, they haven't worked a lot on their self-confidence, to say no when they need to, put boundaries, and that's why it's an easy prey for them. So and now I went a little bit out of what I was saying, but it's something just to reflect on.
absolutely.
And so yes, guilt and shame, there's a lot about that, a sign of that. Another sign is what I told you before, that sometimes you may a lot of people will start feeling crazy, like, but I thought you said that, and that person will say no, but they make them like get confused about how they twist the situation. Then they don't know what's wrong, or maybe they think there's something wrong about themselves. So all the self-worth will go low.
This is called gaslighting, right?
I don't know if it's a specific name. Gaslighting is when somebody disappears in a way, isn't it? Kind of.
No, gaslighting when someone
Oh,
um, uh, says that he didn't do this, he didn't do that, he didn't say this.
yes. Okay, you can say it like that. Like, no, I mean it's no. Gaslighting could be not taking. Yeah, you can say like no responsibility, but this is more of a specific intentional, I think, behavior.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And one another thing, it's when, again, it's similar to that, is that people, toxic people, we say one thing, but then they will do another. So they say like, oh, they will do I mean, a very true example of toxic people and toxicity is the people who are narcissistic, and they use a lot of this techniques, usually subconsciously, that and that they come out as charmers, and they give so much, and then they change the whole situation suddenly, and people cannot believe it. And the most thing is to, what I've noticed is that what is difficult is that usually people who are toxic, um they are people that they are toxic mainly within their interpersonal relationships. So they're not showing this toxicity in the outside world. So say in a relationship, there's been examples where nobody would believe the wife
Yeah.
if she divorced, because she would say he was a toxic person, because he was supposed to be, or the best person, like so charming, so nice, so outgoing, so generous. So, and this is, I think it makes it more difficult for people to sometimes to leave a situation,
Yeah.
because they would be afraid that, they're in the wrong, or other people would judge them, or nobody would believe them, and they're lost into these situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. There is a lot to think about. And I'm very good that we had this conversation because I'm sure that a lot of people can relate in a way or in another to maybe a
Mhm.
whole point that you shared, or maybe pieces of different points. And yeah, I'm a huge advocate for awareness. So I'm very glad that we are having this conversation. So this conversation has been going on for 45 minutes, just for you to know.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's so amazing to talk to you and to listen to you. So, do you have any suggestions about how to overcome toxicity?
How many minutes we have yet? I have a lot. Okay, yes. Let's. I give you a few then,
It's okay.
because I am
You can
as
go how
you.
long you want. I
I
mean,
said no, but it's true. I'm like you. I'm such a huge. I love awareness. I think awareness is so important. People need now to be more aware of things, because we are, as humans, as people, we're so powerful that if we become more aware of what happens, of who we are, of our relationships, we can become so much better in everything, and in our work, in everything. I mean, I see it, in personally, professionally, I see it happening. That's why I'm such a person. I want so much to help people become more aware of what is possible. Um, Anyhow, again, I went out of the subject, but I heard you and I wanted to add in. So, how to overcome it? As I said before, I think I mentioned it at some point in the beginning. Maybe the example I gave is, first of all, I think it's important to step out of this denial of, it's accepting that, my partner is toxic, my mother is toxic, my sister is toxic. I think it's important to accept that, because it's not easy. As I said before, this is the first step, which is very difficult for people to work on, to accept that actually, this close person of mine is toxic. Because then you realize, if you it's like a loss, really, isn't it? When you lose someone, you have to go through a process.
yeah,
So it's that fear of loss, and what represents, and all the other external factors that keep you from accepting that this is a toxic person that I have to avoid or say goodbye to. So once
yeah,
you take, I guess it's about, if it's possible to become aware from the signs, and step out of that denial, and make your decision about um, what to do. Um, it's, as somebody said to me once, it's about, you have to pick your battles. There was a person I was working with, and he told me this sentence, and it was something that stayed with me. And I guess that's in everything in life. We have to pick our battles in this life, and as we do with every choice we make. And that means that if some person is aware of toxicity happening around them, and they can't step out of the denial, it's about pick their battles and think about, okay, what are the consequences, and am I able to deal with them? And if not, how can I, and who can help me with? Because it doesn't mean you have to go through it alone, because it's not easy. There can be groups that you can attend to. You can go to therapy. You can have a coach. Friends that you trust, and social support system is so important. I mean, there have been studies that showed that if there's a good social support system, people can have better immune system, better cardiovascular health. It's not just mental, it's also physical, the social support system, if you have a good one. But if you have a toxic one, you can have the opposite effects. You can have a low immune system, stress, anxiety, negativity, low blood pressure. It can even create cancer. There has been studies that showed
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
So, because it can create all the stress that can create all this psychosomatic or physical health issues. So it's huge. It's huge to be aware of toxicity and negativity. So that is one. Second one, and I think it's really helpful in a way. Sometimes people are not sure of how to go about if they're in a toxic environment or in a toxic relationship. So what I sometimes suggest is start writing a journal. I mean, I suggested in many different things in my work. I think writing a journal can help you always with every issue you have, because it helps you express yourself, write it down, and keep a log of what's happening. And you always can go back to check if there is a pattern, what has been happening, and also reminding you that you are not crazy. It happened, it keeps happening, so it must, you create like an evidence log of yourself, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Because as I said, one of the things within a toxic relationship is that you start feeling like you're going crazy while
yeah,
you are not. So that
yeah,
could be an idea. Another thing I think is it's important to you have to identify when you take how to overcome this. First of all, it's you have to start expressing yourself, with boundaries away. So when somebody tries to say something, it's important to start putting boundaries. I know it's not easy because toxic people will try to push boundaries and make it harder. But it's very important to keep that no, I feel like that. No, I cannot do that. Obviously, if it's a situation where it's dangerous and there's danger involved, I would say people should be very careful if there's violence or domestic violence, and before do that, or if they're afraid, always do that with the guidance of someone, not just by themselves, because no matter what, violence has to be avoided, no matter what cost. Um, and also start expressing themselves, start expressing. So again, if you express yourself and there's always not being listened, or your needs are putting on the side, so then you're dealing with a toxic person. But putting boundaries, very important. Writing a journal, start becoming aware, and whether you can deal with that is, I think, is very important to identify weakness points. Like, for example, if I do that, what will happen? What am I going to lose if I leave this toxic relationship? Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to lose my house? How am I going to go about it? So it's very good before you take the decision to leave that person or that situation, to identify what would be the outcome and what would be the weaknesses of that situation, and plan for it. I guess it's about start doing things you like. Again, like, what can you do? I know, if it's not possible with that person, then you have to think again, as I said, whether it's about time to start distancing yourself from the person. If it's very dangerous, better distance yourself, live to another place, or if it's a friend, start slowly reducing phone calls or reducing seeing them. So reducing contact is very important. Not physical, but also, just if it's through phone or text. But I would always say try to do that not immediately. I would say my suggestion is someone do it slowly, because then toxicity can intensify from the other person. They might not like that. So start slowly distancing from somebody who is toxic. And what is important, start surrounding yourself with positive people. It's so important. I mean, I think it's one of the main tips of success, isn't it? And career success is to
It is.
really be around positive people, because then you are in that positive energy, positive vibe where it gives you only positive feelings of motivation, of inspiration. And, it can take you slowly out of this toxicity. And also, it can be that contrast where you can see that positivity and how positive people are and what they do to you, that when you have negativity or toxicity in your home, in a relationship, or in a work environment, you can see the contrast, and it can make you stronger to say, I don't want that. I just want to leave that. It's not for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Self-compassion.
I would expand a little bit on that. Just
Mhm.
instead of just thinking about positivity, I would think about optimistic people and empowering people and respectful people. I would add that, just because I know what you mean with positivity, but I would like people who are watching this to know that that positivity, it's not just ha 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 ha.
Oh yes, no, no,
That
no, not that. That could
it's
be
an optimistic attitude toward ourselves and toward life. It means to be respectful of our own boundaries, as you were mentioning before, and other people's boundaries. It means to be empowering, to believe in ourselves and in others. This is the meaning of what Vasia was sharing about being positive, about um, having around positive people. Yeah.
exactly. Thank you for that. And what else? Self-compassion. It's always not to lose yourself into that. Always be nice to yourself, nurturing. I love affirmations. I always say to people in all my work, use affirmations, take affirmations. I really believe in the power of affirmations and what we say to ourselves. I mean, it has been shown through neuropsychology, in research, that it can actually activate certain neurological pathways in the brain that can change. So I think it's so important, because, as I said, through toxicity, you can start being so hard on yourself and lose a lot of your self confidence.
Yeah.
And rewarding yourself, every time you do something out of your comfort zone, saying no to that person, or you avoid something, reward yourself with something, like, I don't know, any little thing would be interesting, because it keeps that sense of nurturing yourself. And very important is, to keep that sense of identity as much as you can by uh, keeping rational thinking, that it's not your fault. And take that guilt. It's the guilt that can be very, very tricky and a huge trap in a toxic relationship. And I think it's always rationalize that guilt, why you feel guilty, and what is your role in that guilt, and have you done really something. And if you're not sure, ask another person to say what they think about the situation. And always try to forgive yourself. Self-forgiveness is huge aspect of moving forward and supporting yourself from a toxic relationship, because it can leave you a lot with a lot of guilt about leaving a person that you loved, or maybe there's something wrong you did. So it's this is some ideas around that, about how to overcome. Not
Thank you.
easy. It's not easy,
Yeah, it's not easy, but
but
we are
not
here.
impossible. And
Yeah,
it's necessary, I would say. It's not
yeah,
easy, not impossible, but for me it's necessary
yeah,
to for someone to be out of a toxic relationship,
yeah, yeah,
get themselves.
absolutely. Yeah, and as I was sharing before, self-awareness is very critical in order to be able to see situations for what they are, and not for what we feel or what we think they are, but for what they are. Then we can still choose to stay in that situation. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that we should leave. And that's it. But being self aware is a huge first step, and therapy can help with that, coaching can help with that, and counseling and all many other things. Meditation as well can help. There are
Mm,
a lot of other things that we could go for in order to become aware, and then to make conscious choices regarding what direction we want to go with our lives and with our businesses, in order for those businesses to be able to grow and to and to become a powerful experience in our life
mhm,
that can for sure have a huge contribution also on people that are around us. I mean, as I work with service-based and entrepreneurs, and who wants to have an impact on many lives. I think that this is very important. So if we are in a one or more situations that are not healthy, then we can take this toxicity with us, even without recognizing it, and transferring it in our own work
mhm,
and
mhm,
other relationships. So this is one of the things that we should, if we do not want to do that for ourselves, because it might not be, we might not be that much aware yet, at least we should become aware that this is something that can be transmitted and can be taken from one person to another, and that can affect our clients, and yeah, and our system as a whole. Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
Vasia, it was amazing to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. It was nice to share that topic with you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we went a little bit longer, but I think that it is definitely worth it. I'm so happy. So thanks for your time. And I know it's late at night here. So, and so this was the Ninja Business Challenge Special Edition, day 27. And in the description, I think that I gave the where is it? I can't find it anymore. But anyway, oh, there we go. I was sharing in the description about an amazing list that we have, that I put here in the chat as well. And where is the chat here? So let me reduce this window. Chat. Here we go. Oh, we had so many people chatting here. Oh my God. I didn't know. I didn't see that because I had the full screen. So there was Anita who said, "Thanks for adding me into your conversation." And then someone else who I don't know who is, who says, "Find love." Okay.
Yeah,
And then
yeah. I don't know
Alfonso,
about the three ones here.
okay, it says, I touched lots of very high value topics several times. I experienced toxic business and personal experiences, a good insight from a professional perspective. Okay, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And so I just put in the chat this resource that is the 91 ways you might be leaving money on the table, and it is this one. And among the reasons, among those 91 ways, there are also some that are referred to toxicity. They are not clearly expressed and called as toxic ways, but after this conversation that we had, people can more easily go through the list and understand better some of the points that are there. Some are very business related points, but some of them are more self leadership related points, and they can connect them to the conversation that we just had. Vasia, just let me thank you again for your presence and for your
Thank you.
wisdom, for your energy. I'll see you soon.
Bye
Ciao.
bye. Bye, everyone.
Ciao, 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 ciao.